My name is Kevin Van, I'm a neighbor to Karen up there in Lebanon, Indiana. And about 20 years ago, I met Ellie Sellers doing the Lebanon Education Foundation follies. Did that with her for probably 12 years. Then I decided at the age of 52 to go, or excuse me, 42, to go to school to receive my degree for elementary education. During that time, I had got connected with, in the early 90s, with the theater up there in Lebanon, which is where I met Karen. And I had soon found out that Karen and her husband had started this Black Curtain Theater. What? You did the Black Curtain Theater? No way! And then I tell her this wonderful story. This is probably about 15 years ago. I tell her this wonderful story. Well, a couple of weeks ago I saw her, or last week I saw her, and she said, Kevin, they're doing this thing for me down in Indianapolis, Black Curtain Theater. You gotta come and tell your story. You gotta come. Okay, I'll be there, Karen. Okay, good Lord willing, I'll be there. Well, here's the story. My grandmother, God bless her soul, it was my dad's mother, lived in the apartments right across the street from the Black Curtain Theater. Moved there in about 1964. She was a good Southern gal from Memphis, Tennessee. Decided to come up and be close to her son and daughter-in-law and her only 7 grandchildren. We all grew up over in the Brookside area. Well, on the weekends, Grandma would have all 7 kids, all of us come over and stay with her there in those apartments. Now there was my twin brother and I, in 1967, we would have been 9 years old, and then we had an older brother that was 2 years older than us, and stair steps all the way down. And we're all staying in Grandma's little apartment building. I was telling Karen that these apartments, and she wasn't aware of this, and if I remember correctly, there were 4 on the main floor and then 4 upstairs. But the interesting thing was that as you came out of the apartment, there was only one communal bathroom, which was out in the hallway. You literally had to go out of the apartment to go in there and use the bathroom. And 4 families shared this. Well, on those weekends when Grandma would have us, you know, not only was it Grandma and all these other people in the apartment, there's 7 little kids out there too. Well, our connection, my twin brother and I, our connection to the Black Curtain Theater was that we were those little kids that you were talking about, Gail, that in the neighborhood that would come down and applaud you guys as you would come around and make the circles and telling Ellie these stories, telling Ellie how we would come back there and I don't know where she is. Is she here yet, Ellie? I don't think she's here yet. If Ellie was here, she'd tell you that we were the little brats in the neighborhood that would just cause havoc there in that community theater. And unbeknownst to us, we didn't know you guys were there working. We thought you guys were just there having fun and all these costumes running around. And growing up over there in the Brookside area, we soon became real street smart. And at the age of 9, 10 years old, Mom and Dad would just let us have the run of the neighborhood. We'd go wherever we wanted to, understanding and appreciating. We never got in any trouble. Never got caught. But we did our thing there at Grandma's, and you know, Gail, is it Gail? Gail, you had talked about the community theater, bringing together a community where it really does take a village to take care of everybody. And the wonderful story you told in your youth as a young 20-something-year-old girl coming in and getting the real feel of what it's like to be out there in the real world. And it was because of the theater that you were able to capture that energy and become the person that you are today. I would like to think that that's the way that it happened. And the same thing I teach when I'm in the classroom. You know, I tell these kids all the way from kindergarten up to 12th grade, I substitute quite a bit. And I tell those kids, look, there's a real world out there. Go out there and find something, find a passion. And it's my hope that many of them find it in the theater. But one thing that grabbed hold of me, Gail, when you said that was how put yourself into that community. And you got to remember, Grandma moved there in 1964, you started in 67. You know, at that time, that was, you know, a black community. And here all 7 of us Van Horn kids, we were the only white kids in the neighborhood, running around and, you know, palling around with all these black kids in the community. And I'd like to think that, you know, at the age of 54 now, one reason that I've never had any discrimination against anybody, whether it be color or the gay community, was because of what I experienced, you know, subconsciously probably as a little kid, there in that neighborhood, growing up there, and really appreciating that we're just people. You know, it was a community. We all came together and we all did it, or I should say you guys did your thing, and it was a lifelong experience that you experienced for what, 10, 15 years there at the theater? Is that how long you had? Yeah, 13 years there at the theater. But when I told Karen this story 15 years ago, she just said, Kevin, you gotta come and tell your story, how you were one of those little brats in the community that would come around in the alley and bug us as we were running around. Bob and Rand, God rest his soul. I got to know Bob real well, and Bob would tell me the same stories. Oh, you and your brother were probably those little brats that would cause some trouble there in the neighborhood all the time. So that's the reason I'm here tonight. And, you know, I congratulate you on what you did for for Indianapolis Community Theater. I understand and appreciate the hard work that was involved here. We talked all the way up down here this afternoon. She says, Kevin, I want to tell all these stories again. I don't care, I want to hear them. I want to hear them. And I was shocked to hear that she paid that they were the first theater in town that literally paid the actors and actresses. Jim, I don't know how long you've been doing community theater. I've been got a dime for doing community theater. And I don't expect to. I try to do 1 or 2 plays a year. And I love it. And Karen, when you talked about the community of the theater, it just brought back to mind some of the kids that we had in our group there at the center stage, some of the kids that have been in there and done some wonderful things for us, whether it be on the stage or behind the scenes. And I hope in my heart, Gail, that they've experienced the same thing that you talked about when you were up here, how at that young age of a 20-something girl, you captured a moment in your life that will forever be in your heart, where you might become the person you are today. And I hope that those kids that come into theater, whether it be our theater up in Lebanon, Indiana, or any theater across the land, I hope that those kids are inspired the same way that Gail was. And I'd like to think all of us were in the community theater. So congratulations, Karen, it's your evening. Congratulations.